Hello, welcome back to episode 6 of 52 movies. In this video we're going to be talking about The Help. So The Help is a movie that I've considered for a very long time to be one of my favorites, as well as being based on one of my favorite books. My opinion has changed quite a bit upon rewatch and looking into some of the controversies around it. I still really enjoyed it. It's well written, has amazing actresses. There's Viola Davis, Octavia Spencer, Emma Stone, Bryce Dallas Howard. So as a movie, I can't say that I hate it, even though I do have some problems with it. So I kind of want to talk more about how this movie was received and the controversies around it, what the author has done, you know, just different things like that. I thought it would be a little more interesting than just a strict movie review because I feel like everybody's seen The Help. It was very popular when it came out in 2011. So I felt like there's not a whole lot I can say about it that hasn't already been said. So if you haven't seen The Help, I'm just going to give a brief summary about it, and then we'll move on to controversies and tropes and stuff like that. A white woman nicknamed Skeeter, played by Emma Stone. She's an aspiring writer, and she gets the idea to write a story from the perspective of the Help. Just like her peers, she was raised by the Help. However, while the others turn out really horrible, and they turn out just like their parents, and they treat their Help very poorly, Skeeter grows up to be very sympathetic towards them and treats them like human beings. So in order to write her book, Skeeter has to find some housekeepers who are willing to lend their voices to this book. This is very hard at the time because they could get into a lot of trouble. Basically what they're doing was not going to end well if they got caught. So the first housekeeper Skeeter asked to join her project is Aibileen, her friend's housekeeper. Aibileen eventually agrees to lend her voice to her book, and soon other housekeepers join their project. When the book is released, it really rattles Mississippi in the 1960s. It makes people just think about their Help and how they treat them. Whether or not they actually change their ways is not something that is explored in this movie. If you haven't seen this movie and you want to, I'm not going to spoil anything. A lot of people really don't consider this movie to be very good when it comes to like social issues and stuff like that, and I'll kind of go into that a little bit later. And I kind of agree there's some things about this movie that I'm not totally in agreement on. However, I did enjoy it, and if you don't want to support it on any sort of platform but you still want to see it, go to your local library and check it out. Alright, let's talk about the controversy. So basically, Catherine Stockett, who wrote The Help, the book, she was being sued by the housekeeper and nanny of her brother's children. She had met this woman a couple of times, and actually, I think she even babysat her children too, so she knew who this woman was. However, I don't think the lawsuit led anywhere, but basically the lawsuit was about Catherine Stockett using this woman's name and some things about her in her book. And her name is Aibileen Cooper. She was suing Stockett for using her likeness to create the character Aibileen Clark. But the coincidences continue past their name similarities. In the movie, Aibileen's son is dead, as well as Aibileen, the actual person's son, was dead as well. And they both had a gold tooth. I think it is safe to say that Stockett definitely drew some inspiration from this real life person. The lawsuit I don't think went anywhere, but I think Stockett should have took it upon herself to right this wrong that she had done. So we're down to my last complaint, which is the white savior narrative. So I'm going to read off the Wikipedia definition of the white savior narrative in film. The white savior is a cinematic trope in which a white character rescues a non-white character from unfortunate circumstances. This trope appears in an array of genres of films in American cinema, wherein a white protagonist is portrayed as a messianic figure who often learns something about him or herself in the course of rescuing the non-white characters from their plot. This white savior is often portrayed as a man, or a woman in our case, who is out of place within their own society until they assume the burden of racial leadership to rescue non-white minorities and foreigners from their suffering. As such, white savior stories have been described as essentially grandiose, exhibitionist, and narcissistic fantasies of psychological compensation. So basically in this movie, Skeeter would be considered the white savior, and maybe this is a way for Catherine Stockett to self-insert herself into her book. I also wanted to mention there's an interview with Viola Davis for Vanity Fair, and it tells about how she regrets doing The Help because it was basically centered on white characters So in conclusion, this movie has a lot of bad and harmful tropes. It has a bad history behind it and the author who made it. I think I just have a lot of nostalgia around this film, which kind of clouds my vision on a lot of things. I don't know if I explained myself very well at all. So like I said, I'm going to be including some articles down below. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next week. Bye. So I kind of wanted to do a segment at the end of every video that I do where I talk about my favorite song of the week. I initially started this channel to talk about music, so I thought I would sprinkle in some of that in here. And I do have some videos planned where I want to talk about some of my favorite music videos and just different things like that, and I'm very excited about. So the song I wanted to talk about this week is called Wake Up Call by Mel Blue. It's a very funky sound, and I'm going to include a little snippet of it just so you can kind of hear what I'm talking about. So yeah, here we go. I'm just going to play a little bit of the intro because it's so good. I don't know if it's going to sound very good though. I'm afraid I'll get copyright struck if I don't, cut it off soon. But I was vibing. I could have listened to the whole song again. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next episode.